It was a quiet evening, the kind where the world seemed to sigh in relief after a long day. Emma sank into her favorite armchair, a warm cup of tea in hand, while her old golden retriever Baxter curled up at her feet. The room smelled faintly of vanilla and worn leather. The wind whispered gently through the trees outside. But then Baxter stirred. His ears perked, eyes fixed on the window. He rose slowly, his joints stiff with age, and padded over to the moonlit backyard. He barked softly, a low, urgent sound, then stopped, nose twitching, body rigid. Emma frowned, puzzled. "What is it, boy?" she asked, standing slowly. Baxter refused to move from his spot by the window, tail wagging nervously, a low whine escaping him. Emma felt a flicker of worry. She had always known Baxter to be calm, steady, predictable. Yet tonight he seemed different. She squinted at the silver orb in the sky and noticed the way his old eyes glimmered, reflecting the moonlight. His gaze was unwavering, filled with a kind of longing she had never seen before. Emma stepped closer, knee-brushing his fur. "Are you all right?" she whispered. Baxter's stare didn't shift, his body tense. A shiver ran down her spine, not from fear, but from the intensity of his focus. The world outside felt bigger, quieter, almost sacred, and Baxter seemed to sense something Emma couldn't. Moments later, everything changed. Before we continue, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching dog stories. And tell me, where are you watching from? The evening was quiet. Emma sank into her favorite armchair, letting the soft warmth of the lamp spill over her shoulders. The air smelled faintly of vanilla from the candle she always lit when the day grew long. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying the subtle scent of damp earth. Leaves brushed against the windowpane, like soft fingers tracing patterns in the fading light. Baxter lay at her feet, his golden fur a little duller now, the edges streaked with silver. He was an old dog, steady and calm, with eyes that seemed to carry entire lifetimes of memory. Tonight he rested his head on Emma's shoe, his breath slow, even, peaceful. The gentle rise and fall of his chest was almost hypnotic. Emma took a sip of her tea. Warm, comforting, grounding. She listened to the tiny creaks of the house settling, the low hum of distant traffic. Everything felt as it always did, safe, familiar, routine. But then Baxter shifted. His ears twitched. His tail gave a small flick. Emma noticed the change immediately, though it was subtle. "Bax," she asked softly. "Everything okay, boy?" He lifted his head, old joints creaking. His eyes were fixed on the window, and something in his gaze made her pause. Something insistent. Baxter stood. Slowly, methodically, each step deliberate. Emma set her tea down. He padded toward the window. His paws made soft taps on the hardwood floor. He stopped, then barked, low, almost hesitant, like a question rather than a warning. Emma frowned. "I thought we were relaxing tonight," she murmured. But Baxter didn't move from his spot. He tilted his head, ears forward, tail low but rigid. Then came the whining, soft, trembling, urgent. Emma's heart stirred. It wasn't fear, not quite. Not for him anyway. It was insistence. Attention. The kind that demanded to be noticed. She rose, careful not to startle him. Her shoes whispered against the floor. She crouched beside him. "Bax, what do you see?" He pressed against her leg briefly, then back slightly, as if guiding her without words. He nudged her toward the sliding glass door that led to the backyard. His old eyes reflected the silver glow of the rising moon. Emma stepped closer. She could see the moonlight brushing the lawn in pale, ghostly streaks. Shadows of trees stretched long and thin. The wind stirred the branches, creating a soft, rustling symphony. Baxter's gaze didn't leave the moon. Not the sky, not the yard, not even Emma. Only the moon. He barked again, softly. A question. A reminder. A pull at something she didn't understand. Emma kneeled beside him, resting a hand on his back. She felt the familiar warmth of his fur, the subtle tremor of his muscles, the way his old frame was tense, not relaxed. "He's not scared," she whispered to herself. "He's trying to tell me something." The moon hung high, luminous, casting a silver glow that seemed almost sacred. Emma's breath caught. She felt it, something shifting. A whisper of memory, a brush of intuition. Baxter's ears twitched again. His tail gave a small, stiff wag. He stepped closer to the door, then stopped. Head up. Eyes locked. Emma reached for the handle. And then she understood. Moments later, everything changed. The night was quiet, but the stillness felt different. Baxter stood in the moonlight, fur glowing softly silver. His nose twitched constantly. His ears rotated in tiny, precise movements, capturing sounds Emma couldn't hear. A distant rustle of leaves, the low hum of the refrigerator, the faint creak of the neighbor's gate swinging in the wind. He shifted his weight, placing one paw carefully forward, then another. His old joints protested, but he moved with purpose. Every movement deliberate. Emma followed a few steps behind, careful not to disturb him. She noticed the subtle tension in his body, the slight stiffening of his spine, the way his tail lowered then flicked, a signal she had learned to trust over the years. "He's serious," she whispered. Baxter stopped at the edge of the patio. His eyes lifted to the sky, then lowered to the ground. A soft whine escaped him. Not fear. Not anxiety. Curiosity. Urgency. Something that demanded attention. Emma's gaze followed his, scanning the yard. Shadows stretched long and thin. The moonlight made everything look silver, almost ethereal. The old oak tree's branches swayed gently, and the grass shimmered in the soft glow. But there was nothing unusual, or so it seemed. Then Baxter barked, short, precise, sharp but calm. His head tilted, ears forward. His tail flicked again and he stepped sideways, nudging Emma gently with his nose, guiding her. Emma paused, kneeling slightly confused. "What is it, boy? What are you seeing?" Baxter's gaze didn't waver. He sniffed the air. Low, steady breaths. Then he turned slightly, glancing over his shoulder at Emma, almost as if to say, "Follow me." She rose, heart tightening. He led her slowly across the lawn. Each paw sank slightly into the dew-kissed grass. The smell of wet earth and night blossoms filled the air, mingling with the faint scent of Baxter's fur. The dog stopped near the far edge of the yard, where shadows pooled beneath the old oak. He stared, unblinking, focused. Emma squinted. The moonlight revealed the faint glimmer of something partially hidden under a bush. A silver sheen, almost like a reflection. Baxter crouched slightly, a soft, low growl rumbling in his chest. Not aggression, but a signal. He wanted her to notice, to understand. Emma's pulse quickened. She stepped closer, her shoes pressing softly into the damp grass. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up, a mix of anticipation and awe. Baxter's ears flicked. Tail twitched. He turned back, nudged her again, insisting. His gaze never wavered from the object beneath the bush. She bent down, brushing leaves aside, revealing a small worn box, its edges weathered, paint chipped. The smell of old wood and faint lavender drifted up. Her fingers shook slightly as she touched it. Baxter rested his head lightly against her hand, his eyes full of understanding. Not expectation. Not demand. Understanding. Emma looked at him. "You knew, didn't you?" she whispered. He barked softly. A single precise sound. And then he stepped back, tail relaxed slightly, watching her with that familiar patient wisdom. The night felt alive, full of silent energy, waiting for her to uncover what had been hidden. Baxter sat beside her, still alert, ears perked. He had sensed it. Something she hadn't. Something the old moon seemed to guard quietly, patiently. Emma inhaled. The cool night air filled her lungs. The smell of earth, grass, and old wood mingled with Baxter's comforting presence. She smiled softly, realizing that the ordinary evening she had expected had transformed into something extraordinary, because Baxter had noticed. She held the box carefully, looking at him. "Thank you, boy," she whispered. And for the first time she truly understood. Baxter's instincts were more than habit. They were wisdom. The moon hung high, silent, glowing. And Baxter stayed alert. Watching. Waiting. Emma held the small, worn box carefully in her hands, feeling the rough edges of old wood and the faint scent of lavender that seemed to seep from it. Her mind raced, but she paused. "This is probably nothing," she murmured to herself. "Just an old keepsake someone lost. Maybe the wind blew it here." Baxter, however, had other ideas. He sat a few feet away, body rigid, ears pricked forward, tail low but still twitching subtly. His eyes never left the box. His breathing was soft but measured, almost expectant. Emma shook her head gently, setting the box on the patio table. "You're making a bigger deal out of this than it is, boy," she said. She reached down to pat him, hoping to redirect his attention. "Come on, let's just forget it for now. You're tired. I'm tired. Let's go inside." Baxter's response was subtle but unmistakable. He didn't move. He let out a low whine, a sound soft enough to be almost missed, but Emma heard it clearly. "I heard you," she said softly. "But it's fine. We'll check later." He tilted his head. One ear forward, one back. His paw lifted slightly, hovering over the ground, then lowered. A gentle nudge against her leg, just enough to make her feel the weight of his insistence. Emma sighed. "You're acting strange tonight. I don't know what you want me to see." He barked once. Short. Precise. A single note that carried urgency but no fear. She felt a pang of guilt. She loved him. She trusted him. And yet, tonight she hesitated. Hesitated to follow his instincts. Hesitated to believe that the old dog she had known for years might be trying to show her something important. She glanced at the moon, full and luminous, casting silver shadows across the yard. Baxter's eyes reflected the light, steady, patient, and filled with a quiet wisdom that seemed almost human. Emma shook her head again, more softly this time. "Maybe I'm imagining it," she murmured. Baxter rose slowly. He stepped toward the table where the box lay. Nose lowered, sniffing carefully, tail stiff. His movements were deliberate, but not aggressive. He wanted her to notice, to pay attention, to understand. Emma hesitated. Her fingers hovered over the box. Her gaze met Baxter's, and she saw the same insistence she had always trusted. Back when he nudged her toward the mailbox. Back when he guided her away from a loose plank in the backyard. Okay, she whispered. Her hand trembled slightly as she reached down. Baxter's tail flicked, almost imperceptibly, and he sank onto his haunches, watching. Patient. Alert. Waiting. Emma lifted the lid. A faint creak echoed into the night. Her breath caught. Inside was a small bundle of letters, tied with a fraying ribbon. The paper smelled faintly of dust and memories. The handwriting was delicate, careful, a relic of years past. Baxter whined softly again. Not fear. Not distress. Encouragement. Confirmation. Emma looked at him. "You knew this was here," she whispered. "All along." He barked softly. Just once. Then sat, calm again. His body relaxed for the first time since the evening began. Emma exhaled. Her heart a little lighter but a little heavy too. She had almost dismissed him. Almost missed the moment. The night felt alive. The moonlight glimmered across the grass. Shadows danced softly in the silver glow. And Baxter, patient, wise, steadfast Baxter, watched her with gentle, knowing eyes. She realized something then. His insistence, his focus, his quiet nudges were not just habits of an old dog. They were instincts honed over a lifetime. A subtle language of trust, of guidance, of love. Emma sat back on the chair, holding the letters in her lap, and glanced at him. "I shouldn't have doubted you," she whispered. Baxter tilted his head, tail wagging slowly. He rested his chin lightly on her knee, breathing warm and steady, full of quiet reassurance. Emma smiled softly, feeling a deep wave of connection, the kind of bond that had always existed between them, but tonight, it felt stronger, more profound. He had noticed something unusual. She had hesitated, but she had followed him. And now finally she understood. The moon hung high, silent, watching, and Baxter stayed alert, patient, and unshakably loyal. The next few nights the rhythm of the house felt off. Baxter didn't sleep like he used to. Instead, he spent long stretches by the window, ears twitching, eyes fixed on the moon. He would rise, pacing slowly across the hardwood floor, then pause, nose lifted, listening to sounds Emma couldn't hear. Sometimes he barked soft, precise barks, or gave that gentle, trembling whine that always made her heart tighten. Emma tried to go about her routine, but she couldn't ignore him. Not anymore. "He's acting like there's something there," she whispered one evening, wrapping her hands around her tea mug. Steam curled upward, mingling with the faint lavender scent that lingered in the living room. Baxter's gaze remained unwavering. He nudged her hand softly, then stepped back as if urging her to follow. She hesitated. "Again, boy?" "Really?" she said softly. "It's late. Let's just." But he barked just once, insistent, commanding yet calm. His tail flicked stiffly. He stepped toward the sliding door, then paused, head cocked, ears forward. A subtle whine escaped him. Emma's pulse quickened. She rose, following him onto the dew-kissed lawn. The night air smelled of wet earth and fallen leaves, and the moon cast silver light across the backyard, stretching shadows long and thin. Baxter led her to the same spot under the old oak tree. He circled, sniffed the ground, then stopped, stiff and alert. His old body trembled slightly, not from cold but from anticipation. Emma's eyes scanned the area. The familiar yard now transformed under the moonlight. Every branch, every shadow seemed alive. And the little box, now open, revealing the letters, glimmered faintly in the soft glow. Baxter barked again, softly, then whined, then nudged her hand as if saying, "Pay attention. There's more." Emma swallowed, heart tight with a mix of curiosity and unease. She had seen the letters, yes. But tonight, Baxter's behavior suggested that there was something she still didn't understand. Something more important than the box. Over the next few nights, this pattern repeated. Baxter would wake before her, eyes scanning the darkened rooms. He would pad silently to the window, tail low but stiff, ears flicking. If she stirred, he would nudge her gently, urging her to come. If she hesitated, he barked once, precise, measured, insisting without aggression. Emma grew restless. Sleep felt shallow, fleeting. She worried for him. And yet, she couldn't help but marvel at his persistence, at his quiet determination to guide her. One night, she stepped into the backyard with him again, moonlight casting long shadows over damp grass. Baxter paused near the old oak tree, nose to the ground, then lifted it slowly. His ears twitched, tail flicked. Then he froze. Emma froze too. She held her breath. The silence felt thick, almost tangible. He barked softly once, then again, then whimpered, a short, trembling sound. He pawed at the ground lightly. Emma knelt beside him, brushing a damp strand of fur from his face. "Bax, what is it?" He nudged her hand toward the far side of the yard. She followed, moving carefully over the grass. And there, just beyond the shadows, she noticed a faint glimmer. Something small. Something she hadn't seen before. Baxter's stance was rigid, unwavering. He watched her with those old, wise eyes, filled with patience and silent understanding. Emma bent closer. The glimmer turned out to be another object, smaller, almost hidden in the dirt and leaves. Something that had gone unnoticed, buried under years of weather and shadows. Baxter barked softly again, tail flicking once. He stepped back, giving her space. Watching, guiding, patiently waiting. Emma's hands trembled as she brushed the leaves aside. The object was a small trinket, delicate and worn. She held it gently, feeling the weight of its history. And as she looked up, Baxter met her gaze. He didn't wag his tail. He didn't bark again. He just waited, waiting for her to understand. Emma's chest tightened. The realization hit slowly, softly, like the gentle caress of the night wind. Baxter had sensed it all along. He had been guiding her, insisting, protecting, and now she couldn't ignore him anymore. The moon shone brightly overhead, bathing the yard in silver. The night was alive with quiet energy, and Baxter, old, wise, patient, remained alert beside her. Emma smiled softly, brushing her fingers through his fur. You've been trying to show me everything, haven't you, boy? He nudged her hand gently, a soft, approving gesture. And in that moment, Emma realized just how much he had been asking her to trust him. The backyard felt alive with quiet anticipation that night. Baxter moved with purpose, old joints stiff but steady, guiding Emma through the silver glow of moonlight. The grass beneath their feet shimmered faintly with dew, and the wind carried the gentle scent of earth and fallen leaves. The old oak tree loomed overhead, its long shadows stretching across the yard like protective arms. He stopped suddenly, tail low but stiff, ears pricked forward. His gaze fixed on a small patch of ground near the base of the tree. He pawed lightly, then backed up, eyes never leaving the spot. His low, soft whine carried urgency this time. Insistent, focused. Emma knelt beside him, heart pounding. She could feel the energy radiating from him. A mix of patience, insistence, and quiet understanding. Her fingers brushed the damp earth carefully. At first, she thought it was just another small trinket. But then she noticed it. An edge of something buried, glinting faintly under the moonlight. She dug gently with her hands, lifting soil and leaves, and revealed a weathered wooden chest, just large enough to hold something precious. Baxter barked softly once, then sat back, tail flicking lightly. He had led her here, and now he waited patiently. Emma's hands trembled as she traced the edges of the chest. The wood was rough, scarred by time and weather. A small lock, rusted but intact, held it closed. Her breath caught. She hadn't expected this. Not in her own backyard. She knelt down beside him, brushing his fur gently. "You knew it was here," she whispered. "All along." Baxter nudged her hand with his nose, encouraging, patient, full of quiet insistence. Emma studied the lock. It had a small, intricate keyhole. She scanned the surrounding ground, and there, hidden beneath a patch of moss, was a small key. She picked it up carefully, feeling the cool metal against her fingers. Her heart raced as she slid the key into the lock. With a soft click, the chest opened. Inside were letters, carefully folded, yellowed with age. Each one smelled faintly of lavender and old paper, carrying the warmth and intimacy of someone's past. Emma lifted one gently, unfolding it with reverence. The handwriting was delicate, meticulous. The words told stories of love, loss, and longing, memories preserved through decades. Baxter rested his head on her knee, watching quietly. He didn't need to read. He understood. His presence alone was grounding, reassuring. Emma's eyes scanned the letters. One by one, they revealed a story she hadn't known. A story of her own family, of grandparents she barely remembered, of promises made under the very same moon that now glowed above them. Memories that had been forgotten, hidden by time, waiting to be rediscovered. She swallowed hard, feeling a lump in her throat. The connection between past and present, human and dog, life and memory. It all felt so fragile, so sacred. Baxter gave a soft whine and nudged her hand again, reminding her to stay present, to honor the moment. Emma looked at him, tears welling in her eyes. "I can't believe you brought me here," she whispered. "You remembered. You knew." He barked softly just once, a sound that carried approval, reassurance, and quiet pride. The moonlight bathed them both, silver and serene. The night air carried the scent of earth, moss, and old paper. Emma felt the weight of discovery, of history returned, of love remembered. And she felt it most deeply through Baxter, the loyal, intuitive companion who had guided her every step, whose instincts had uncovered what human eyes alone could not see. She held the letters gently, looking down at him. "You've been trying to show me everything," she said softly. "And I finally understand." Baxter nudged her hand one last time before settling beside her, tail slowly wagging, eyes calm and wise. The night stretched around them, quiet, gentle, full of silver light and silent understanding. And in that moment, Emma realized something profound. Baxter hadn't just noticed something unusual. He had guided her to it, with patience, love, and unwavering loyalty. The discovery was not just the chest, not just the letters. It was the bond between them. A bond built on trust, instinct, and the quiet, unspoken language of devotion. Emma leaned back, brushing her fingers through his fur. inhaling the scent of his coat mixed with the night air. The moon hung above, luminous and eternal. And Baxter remained by her side, her steadfast guide, her guardian, her friend. For the first time in years she felt fully seen, fully understood, fully home. Emma sank to the ground beside the old oak tree, the letters spread gently across her lap. The chest lay open, the moonlight spilling silver over its weathered edges. Her hands trembled slightly as she held one of the letters, reading the delicate handwriting and inhaling the faint scent of lavender and old paper. Baxter pressed his head into her side. Warm, solid, grounding. His weight was steady, reassuring. The tremor in her hands matched the quiet catch in her chest, and his presence was all the comfort she needed. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. I don't know how all of this was hidden," she whispered. "All these years gone." Baxter nudged her hand softly, reminding her to breathe, to stay present, to feel safe. His old eyes held hers, patient, full of wisdom. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but they weren't just sadness. They were relief, recognition, and a strange, beautiful joy. The letters told stories of her family's past, memories she had never known, promises left unfulfilled, dreams quietly whispered into the night. And now here they were, unearthed, waiting for her. She hugged Baxter tightly, resting her forehead against his soft fur. "I needed you to guide me," she whispered. I didn't realize I needed to be led." He leaned into her embrace, tail flicking slowly, gentle whines escaping him. Each sound was soft, steady, comforting. His body language was patient but insistent. Stay, feel, heal. Emma took a deep breath, letting the weight of years lift just slightly from her shoulders. She opened another letter. The handwriting spoke of love and care, of hope and longing. She read it aloud softly, her voice blending with the rustle of leaves in the wind, the distant call of an owl, and the quiet breathing of her faithful companion. "And I hope that whoever finds this knows the love that came before them, that they feel it, that it guides them." She paused, letting the words sink in. Baxter lifted his head slightly, as if acknowledging the truth in the letter. His eyes glimmered in the moonlight, calm but wise. He nudged her hand again, reminding her to stay present. Emma's sobs softened into quiet, shuddering breaths. She smiled through the tears. "You've been here all along," she whispered, "watching over me, guiding me, protecting me." He rested his head fully on her lap now, eyes half closed. The weight of his presence was grounding, his warmth wrapping around her like a soft blanket. The night air carried the scent of earth, the soft rustle of leaves, and the faint lavender from the chest. Emma folded the letters carefully, pressing them to her chest. "I can't believe I almost missed this, almost ignored you," she whispered. "But you never gave up. You knew. You always knew." Baxter barked softly, almost like a quiet laugh, and nudged her hand once more. Then he settled fully beside her, tail curling around her legs. The wind stirred gently through the trees, carrying a sense of calm and renewal. Emma leaned back, letting the night embrace her. She looked up at the moon, silver and eternal, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. She whispered again, more firmly this time, "Thank you, Baxter, for everything, for seeing what I couldn't, for guiding me, for saving me in your own way." He nudged her hand one last time before lying quietly, completely at peace. Emma stroked his fur gently, letting the connection between them deepen, solidify. In that moment it was clear. They had not just uncovered the past, they had rescued each other. The letters were more than paper. The chest was more than wood. The moon above was more than light. They were symbols of trust, patience, and the quiet, enduring love between a human and her dog. Emma exhaled slowly, the tight knot of worry and doubt melting away. Baxter's presence, steady and unwavering, had guided her through the storm of emotions. And now, sitting there under the silver glow, she finally felt safe, understood, and whole. Baxter shifted slightly, nudging her hand again. A gentle reminder of the bond they shared, of the quiet rescue that had been happening all along. And Emma knew with every fiber of her being that she would never doubt him again. The night stretched around them, calm, gentle, full of healing, and filled with the quiet, unwavering presence of a loyal companion. The nights that followed felt different. Emma and Baxter settled into a new rhythm, one shaped by quiet understanding and shared purpose. The backyard, once just a patch of grass under an old oak, had transformed into a sanctuary. The moonlight spilled silver over the dew-kissed lawn, and the soft rustle of leaves in the wind became a lullaby of calm. Baxter led the way each evening, as if he were guiding her not only through the yard but through the delicate process of healing. Sometimes he simply lay beside her on the grass, letting her rest against his warm, steady body. Other times he nudged her gently toward the chest, the letters, or toward the window, silently encouraging her to face emotions she had been holding back for years. Emma had always loved him, of course, but now she felt the depth of their connection in a new way. Each night as they sat together beneath the moon, she breathed deeply, letting the cool night air fill her lungs, and allowed herself to feel everything: the sadness, the wonder, the memories of the past, and the gratitude for this moment. Sometimes she read aloud from the letters, letting the words float into the night. Baxter listened, tilting his head, tail flicking slowly in rhythm with her voice. When she paused, he would nudge her hand, reassuring, patient, reminding her to continue. Each bark or soft whine was measured, comforting, guiding her gently through the weight of the emotions. Emma began to notice the subtle ways Baxter helped her heal. When she lingered too long on painful memories, he would rest his head on her lap, grounding her. When she felt lost or overwhelmed, he would place a paw on her arm or nudge her toward the open sky, urging her to breathe, to release, to look forward. The letters, once a source of quiet awe and discovery, became tools of reflection and connection. Emma arranged them carefully each night, reading a few, then pausing to let the words sink in. She wrote notes of her own, small thoughts and reflections, and tucked them beside the originals. Baxter sat patiently beside her, ears forward, eyes calm and wise. He seemed to understand that healing wasn't just about revisiting the past. It was about moving forward together. As days turned into weeks, Emma noticed subtle changes in herself. The tight knot of doubt and worry that had lingered for so long loosened. Her breathing felt lighter. Her heart felt lighter. And every time she glanced at Baxter, resting peacefully at her feet or nudging her gently to look up at the moon, she felt the quiet joy of being fully seen, fully understood, and fully loved. One evening, they sat side by side on the patio, the letters laid out between them. The air was warm, carrying the faint scent of lavender and earth. The moon hung low, soft and luminous, casting silver light over their little sanctuary. Emma reached out and stroked Baxter's fur slowly. "You've healed me in ways I didn't even know I needed," she whispered. "Not just by guiding me, but by being here, steady, patient, loving." He leaned into her hand, nudging her softly, a gentle affirmation of their bond. The healing process wasn't fast. It wasn't dramatic. It was slow, steady, and profound. Every night, Emma allowed herself to feel a little more, to breathe a little deeper, to connect a little closer with both her past and the loyal companion who had guided her through it. Baxter, old but wise, remained her steadfast partner in this journey. His instincts, patience, and unwavering love created a space where she could let go of fear, doubt, and hesitation. He had saved her not with grand gestures, but with quiet guidance, gentle nudges, and steadfast presence. And as the moon traced its arc across the sky, casting silver light over the yard, Emma felt it, warmth spreading through her chest, a deep sense of peace. She understood now that healing wasn't just about finding what was lost. It was about embracing what had always been there. And Baxter had been there. Always. The night was soft, calm, full of silver light and quiet breath. Emma rested her hand on his fur. He rested his head on her lap. And together, they breathed in the healing, the love, and the gentle reassurance of the bond that had grown even stronger through discovery, trust, and quiet devotion. The nights had grown into a gentle ritual. Emma and Baxter sat side by side on the patio, bathed in the soft silver glow of the moon. The backyard, once ordinary, now felt sacred, A place where time slowed and the world's noise softened to a whisper. The letters from the old chest lay neatly beside them, a tangible bridge between past and present, memory and discovery. Baxter's golden fur shimmered in the moonlight, the silver streaks of age catching the glow. His ears twitched occasionally, catching distant sounds, the rustle of leaves, the soft hum of the night, the faint bark of a faraway dog. But mostly he was still, calm, steady, present, watching the world with the quiet wisdom of one who had seen much, felt much and loved deeply. Emma reached over and stroked his head, fingers tracing the familiar curve of his ears, the gentle warmth of his body. "You've been with me through everything," she whispered. "Guiding me, protecting me, loving me." He nudged her hand softly, tail flicking slowly in affirmation. She leaned against him, letting the calm settle deep into her chest, a warmth that carried with it a quiet spiritual understanding. They sat together beneath the luminous moon, sharing silent moments of reflection. Every night Baxter's gaze would rise to the sky, and Emma began to follow it, noticing the way he seemed to draw meaning from the light, the shadows, the stillness. She felt it too, the same quiet reverence, the same sense of connection to something larger than herself. The bond between them had grown unbreakable. It wasn't just companionship anymore. It was trust, understanding, intuition, and shared history. It was quiet guidance and patient presence. It was the knowledge that they could rely on each other without words. Sometimes Emma would read the letters aloud, letting the soft cadence of her voice float into the night. Baxter listened, tilting his head, flicking his tail, offering gentle affirmations with soft whines or nudges. They weren't just letters, they were reminders of life's enduring love, its quiet lessons, and the connections that transcend time and space. One night, Emma looked down at him and whispered, I understand now. You've been teaching me all along." Baxter leaned into her hand, eyes closing for a moment of contentment. His loyalty, his patience, his quiet wisdom had not only guided her to the chest, the letters and the memories, they had guided her to herself. The moon cast silver light over the yard, the letters, the old oak tree, and the two of them together. Emma took a deep breath, letting the night air fill her lungs. She felt gratitude, love, and an almost spiritual sense of belonging. The bond they shared had transformed. It was no longer just human and dog. It was soul-deep, unshakable, eternal. Baxter nudged her hand one last time, a gentle reminder of their shared journey. Emma rested her forehead against his, closing her eyes. She felt the warmth of his body, the rise and fall of his breathing, and the infinite patience and love that had guided her through discovery, doubt, and healing. In that moment she realized something profound. The moonlight, the letters, the nights of quiet tension, the moments of uncertainty, none of it mattered without this bond. A bond built on trust, patience, and unconditional love. Emma whispered softly, "Thank you, Baxter, for everything, for being my guide, my protector, my friend." He rested his head fully on her lap, tail curled around her legs. And under the silver glow of the moon, surrounded by the quiet magic of the night, Emma felt it. A love so deep, so pure, so unwavering, that it would last forever. The bond between human and dog had become unbreakable. And in the silence of that moonlit night, Emma understood the truth of it all. That love, intuition, and loyalty are the quiet miracles of life. Together they watched the moon, hearts full, souls aligned, and a warm unspoken message lingered in the air. Some bonds are eternal.